What initially drove you to want to be in the world of entertainment in the first place?
I really don't know. I guess to trace it back would be how I ended up getting on the radio station. I'll start there. It was my sister was going to physical therapy. She had a knee injury. Um, and I was bored. And her physical therapy, like where it is in Haverty Grace, how the radio station was set up, like was literally just around the corner. So I kind of like snuck out the front door, just being me, and walked into the radio station, went right up to the secretary and was like, I want to be on the radio. And she kind of laughed and she chuckled, but I was like, I want to be on the radio. And she was like, oh, well, this is adorable. Went back, got the program director. Um, and they kind of like pre-gamed me a little bit and were like, do you have stuff to talk about? Can you talk on the radio? And I was like, yeah, anybody can do it. And so Rico Richards and Burt Clay came out um, when they were on their commercial break and kind of gave me the rundown of what we were going to talk about. And the rest is history. They offered me like my own segment if I could call in every time before I went to school. I had my own like little 10 to 15 minute little segment on WXCY for like the entire school year. And then after that, during the summer, they took me out on like all the promotions. I got to meet. I was never a huge country fan, but hey, Trinity was there, and I was only just a kid, 6 and 7. Um, I got to do all the promotional stuff that they did. Go to concerts. I mean, my mom got hooked up ridiculously with tickets and all kinds of fun stuff. So. Um, I don't know. I fell in love with it. Anything that is a part of the entertainment atmosphere, whether it be behind the glass, in front of the glass, um, at this point in my life, helping young people make wise decisions, like mistakes I've made when I first landed in LA, and um, trying not to get them to not shoot themselves in the foot. I've been grateful enough to help probably 4 or 5 young photographers, videographers go on to make, a couple $1,000s a month. One buddy's salaried at like $60,000, $70,000 a year just doing videos and content, like just, helping them shape their content, mold their pitch, create their pitch, um, frame their photography, just, years of experience that, you don't really learn. You can't unless you go out and do, you're not going to have the acquired skill set. Not that I'm the best or the only person to go to, but a lot of people who followed my career from MySpace over to Facebook onto Instagram, like a lot of the people who've been supporting my photography for more than a decade now, almost the entire career. So it's you know I at least I could do is help them shape their photography, just as they've supported mine. So I think
Yeah, and that's
it's
what
my
a
first
lot
like
of,
on the spot.
hey, hey, it happens to the best of us. But
Yeah,
yeah, man, and that's what a lot of people around my age range don't understand is that they just may go hear your story and go to your Instagram page or anybody's Instagram page that has been doing a particular craft for years and years and years, and they assume like, damn, I want to be doing that, and I want to get it as fast as possible because we live in a fast food age where we're constantly
right.
being bombarded with images of people that appear to be happy and successful to where, they have like the bling bling, the cars, the girls, the money,
A lot of that stuff is
all of
just
this
a waste of
other
money.
stuff, just
Yeah,
showing off for the gram and showing off for any other social media platform. Nowadays, it's TikTok because everybody's on that shit now, just dancing and doing all types of weird,
have
crazy,
at it.
creative edits.
They can have at it. I'll stick to my old school. I'm pretty old school anyway. I don't really when it comes to my photography, I think what separates me and then kind of what also slows me down maybe is I don't use Photoshop. Like for when I first started, I didn't even have the option because my computer couldn't run the software. So I had to figure out, what could I do, to make my pictures look really great without the ability to do Photoshop, and well, the only solution to that is just take better pictures. Get better at my lighting. I'm going to be doing a master class at some point. I'm trying to put some stuff together, literally called Mastering Your Camera. Like if you don't know the ins and outs of what your camera can do, your lenses, what they're capable of, how you can stretch them, or how you can push your own mental, the camera that's in your head, how you can push that more. Peter Hinkett told me, sorry, I got like a little ADD.
Mhm.
I'll come back to it. Sorry. But Peter Hinkett told me, he said, when you close that shutter, make sure it's the best picture that you've ever taken.
Well, what
But
were you saying before? Can you just run that back all the
yeah,
way back?
Peter Hinkett was the one who really stressed, before you close that shutter, make sure it's the best picture you've ever taken. And he was the one that really forced my eyeball to look at all the corners through the viewfinder.
Mm.
And it really changed the way that I took pictures. It changed the way, um, that I really kind of even saw the world through the lens, because I started looking at every single tiny little detail. I've ruined a couple pictures in the past for, not paying attention, like really great images, that I've ruined, in the past, because at the time I didn't have Photoshop. I didn't even really know how to use it. And one of the
Mm.
models that I shot, who went on to go do a couple things with Playboy, like later on down the road, she had a really cute necklace on, but it was twisted backwards, and it made the
Mm.
picture just look awful. I was like, wow.
Damn.
Yeah, I mean, everything was so great on it too, like the lighting, the pose, everything was just phenomenal. And yeah, totally blew it, just by not paying attention to little details. And then, of course, not
Oh
having
yeah.
Photoshop, there was no way to even just kind of replace, her necklace or anything. And then,
Hey.
but still, it shaped me into really mastering my lighting techniques, and, knowing and mastering my camera. And then that transferred, over to really studying, cinematography. I think that's my passion. Like when it comes to lighting a movie set, there's a whole big difference between lighting a picture and lighting a film. Big difference. Different colors create different things. Like I'm not by no way a master lighting expert at all, but yeah.
Hey, like, look, I was gonna say you probably could use that clone or healing stamp tool, but hey, the hey,
No,
don't
it
rely
wouldn't,
on
dude.
that.
There was no way that I would have had to completely erase her whole necklace, and then it would have
Something,
been
hey,
too visible.
but hey, there was that saying that goes garbage in, garbage out. So that be a lesson for everybody, not just in the line of work that we do. But yeah, man, it's like you sound like you just went through a lot of unique experiences just being in there early on. And so
That,
that,
and really season, carpe diem, man. Really taking advantage of the moment, and not um, creating excuses for myself to tell myself why I shouldn't do something, or why I wasn't able to do something or have something. It was like, well, why not me? I think people need to change the why me and turn it into a why not me, and go after it, instead of
yeah, yeah,
it.
exactly.
Just start. It's like I booked my first gig, and I didn't even have a camera. Like I had to run out that day and open up a business account at Best Buy, and it just, dude, it was like, how do I even make this happen now? It was like, oh shit, like it's a reality. Like, so it's just a fun experience. And then I get there, and then Paul was like, oh, I was going to give you one of my cameras. I mean, he had a whole rig set up for me, big flash and a light sphere and everything. And I was like, no, I got this. I had my little Rebel. I was all excited. I went for it. I was trying to find my old picture from Excess Magazine with my silver shirt and my goofy little self, but I couldn't find that to send to you. It's somewhere on MySpace or Facebook somewhere.
Yeah, man, and like what were the like greatest challenges that you had to ever overcome in life?
In general,
Yeah, in
or
general,
just
like in a whole general scope. I'm not just talking
being short, maybe. because I'm fucking short, and like everybody that I photograph is usually taller than I am. So, um, greatest hurdle I think would be getting out of my own way. You know, you're
Mm,
raised and you're
mm.
conditioned. Um, I haven't read Rich Dad Poor Dad from cover to cover, but I've read some pieces of it and I pulled a couple things out of it. And you know, when you're raised, you know, with a lack mindset, it really affects, you know, how you get and go after your dreams. But you have to kind of break your own mentality and go, I am worthy of success. I can have success. I can do this. I'm going to do this. I want to do this. And just go after it. You know, if you don't know, ask. I think that's the biggest thing is people are afraid to ask. Just go
Yes,
ask.
yes, yes, yes.
So I think my biggest hurdle was probably getting out of my own way, getting out of my own headspace and accepting, you know, the fact that I was capable of success and great things. And then it kind of goes back to our conversation that we were having yesterday a little bit was how do you define success for yourself? I think that's the first thing people should do. And then the second thing would be what do you quantify or how do you quantify wealth in your life? And then me being a father, like my children are happy, you know, they eat, we have a place that we can call home. You know, it doesn't get simpler and more wealthier than that. You know, you can't buy the laughter of children. You can't buy, you know, when you run through the door, you know, they come up and grab your leg, you know, like you can't buy that stuff. So to me, wealth, you know, true wealth is things that money can't buy. And then you have to accept that money is a tool that you need. Um, and then you can use it and give it, you know, money is just you have to create that kind of flow in your life to be able to give and receive. And so,
Mm-hmm. Real talk, man. And speaking of that, like, it just reminded me of everything that I've been researching as of lately. Like I've just been, you've already known this. You've seen, you've seen one of my Facebook posts, man. Like where I just made this post that said the Black Lives Matter movement is an illusion. And it took me a lot of courage to post that because I already knew the backlash that people got that spoke out against it says, oh, you're a coon, you're nicotine, you're whatever time, Uncle Tom. And speaking of Uncle Tom, I got called the Uncle Tom by a white chick, bro. Like
wow.
anybody that
Her name is
follows me
definitely
on
Karen, maybe Deborah or
no.
like a Barbara.
Hey, look. I
Denise.
I wasn't her. That's not her name, but yeah, it's like. But in all seriousness, though, like what made me want to bring you on here in the first place was the comments that you did leave, which was very thoughtful. You didn't just react like everybody else did. Like you actually dove deep and you educated me on some other stuff that I didn't even know. And
Cool.
the reason why I wanted to bring up the whole Black Lives Matter issue is what you said is getting out of your own way. It's like, yeah, we can blame police all we want. We can blame the white man all we want. We can blame whoever else all we want. But what I'm saying is that, I say this out of love. And I said, within that post and within the recent post I just made, you know, I'm willing to piss you off just so I can plant a seed in your mind to let you know that you can overcome any obstacle.
Yeah.
And I
And
remember,
Morgan Freeman's definitely said it, God, over the past 10 years, probably at least a dozen times, was that it's not that it doesn't exist. There's always going to be some form of prejudice in somebody's life. That's where racism starts, with
yeah,
prejudging somebody. I call it, personally, the word I choose to use for it is ethnic hatred, because it's like there's the human race, as a people, as a civilization, but you're hating on someone because of their ethnic background. That's not no one's fault. You're not responsible with what you're born with. You're only responsible with what you do with it. So, you can't blame someone if they were born in a certain area of the world, or if they have a white dad and a black mom, or a white mom and a black dad. That's not, you're not responsible for two people falling in love, or, a victim of rape. Who knows? There's like 125,000 abortions a day. Where's Black Lives Matter on that?
Oh, shit.
Where
Damn.
where are they at on that? Where's the
25,000 a day.
125,000 globally?
Hey,
Yeah,
yeah, and then also, not to mention, the black on black crime rates is like still through the roof in Chicago, New Orleans, Houston, Watts, Crenshaw, all
yeah.
these cities that, that are very like crime ridden, and it's like on the news every single day, but nobody seems to bat an eye. No one seems to care. And I say this, Michael, that the Black Lives Matter movement has an asterisk next to its name because only Black Lives Matter to them that they seem to broadcast and they seem to care about from what I've seen so far. I'm not saying that I know this movement inside and out. Feel
Right.
free to, you know, prove me
No, I
wrong.
think I think I
And
can. I I truly believe that we stand on common ground in the fact that rioting is not a way to get your message
no,
across.
absolutely not.
And
Absolutely
then
not.
even in the video that you showed me, with Malcolm X, and it's like so many people are misquoting these individuals, and using it as like some kind of crutch or excuse to, help them through something. It's like, well, you you had a black president, like, like what, like it's not like, just get it. This isn't. I don't even know. It stumbles. It boggles my mind the lack of wisdom and care and compassion in some people to just do the things that they do. I mean, why is it so hard to just be a good human?
Apparently, for some people, it is because it's like, in this world, common sense is not very common. It's like with me,
No,
like I've encountered like, I've seen police cars in my neighborhood. Like I don't live in a dangerous neighborhood. This neighborhood is relatively safe. And like when a cop car passes me, my heart doesn't pump out with worry and anxiety because why? Because I know I'm protected by the divine at all times. I know that as long as I do right by other people, as long as I keep
that's spiritual
myself held
law.
accountable.
Yeah, that's
Spiritual
spiritual
laws.
law.
And like,
Yeah,
yeah, and I was gonna speak on that too. It's like if you violate spiritual laws by harming another human being and raising hell, of course you're going to get harassed by law enforcement. Of course.
that's universal justice. If I mean, I'm not saying that everyone who gets beaten, abused, or whatever. That's
Yeah,
not.
yeah,
I'm not justifying their actions by any means. But
yeah,
like, if you are deliberately causing harm to other people and it comes back to you, you can't play the victim.
yeah. Or else, like also like I have compassion and empathy for those that have experienced racial injustice and police
I think
brutality.
yeah, there's a lot of truly unfortunate situations, and there's a lot of bad apples out there, but they usually end up weeding themselves out because cops hate dirty cops. They don't, they cops amongst cops don't tolerate that, because it's like, we're out here. I've had my uncle Chuck was a retired Baltimore City cop for 30 years. I mean, I have friends of mine that are in and out of the military, on the police force. I support them all. If the whole defund the police thing, like,
Oh God.
really,
Oh,
just really think about that for a moment. Like, there's already enough
bruh.
chaos. There's already enough chaos, and we have a police. Thank God we're not in a police state, which I think, that's martial law. That's a whole different situation. But think about if there was zero consequences for any and all destruction.
Oh God, it's
Like,
Lord.
if you
I
couldn't
don't even
step
want
if
to
you
imagine
if
that.
you stepped outside, okay, that's a reason why there is, controlled chaos, if you will, um, when you step outside, because the streets are governed by people who are going to arrest you, cite you, fine you. If you're driving around like an idiot, or causing harm to other people, like, there's legal consequences to those problems. That's what usually keeps most people on their best behaviors. I don't want to go to jail.
I know I
You know,
don't
I've
either,
I've had my fair share of overnighters. I'm good. I don't really want to stay there for a long term, but
Yeah. another thing is that, you know, my significant other was a huge part of me breaking out of that victim mindset because, you know, she's a life coach and she's an energy healer. And, you know, we've done sessions together. And, you know, I just remembered one night, you know, she said the N word playfully, and I did get triggered. I was like, why the hell would you say that? You can't be saying that. And, you know, and she helped me realize and I did some deep self-analysis in that moment. Instead of continuing to act off of raw emotion,
Hmm.
I was just like, why am I allowing a word to define me? Why am I allowing that word to still trigger me?
Mm.
Because I was pre-programmed to. Yes, I was pre-programmed to think like, hey, you know, if anybody calls you this word, you know, you should beat the shit out of them and say this and say that. But the fact of the matter is that when people call you something, it has nothing to do with you. You can't take that person like, you know, I have yet to be called, you know, the N-word by some Caucasian person, you know, and even if that were to happen, I wouldn't all of a sudden get buck with him and get violent. Like I understand, okay, you may not like me, you have it in your heart to hate me, so that's your business. You can be
Right.
hateful all you want to. I'm still gonna love you and things of that nature. And I've even said this to myself when I was in a room by myself. I was like, um, it's like if somebody has it in their heart to hate you, there's nothing, absolutely nothing you can do to change that person.
Yeah.
So you getting in front of somebody's house holding up a picket sign saying my life matters and this and that, it's not going to change their mind. You can't change nobody's mind. You can't make people like you and value your life. You have to value your own life. We have to start, you know, it starts with self. And it's like you said, you know, you held yourself accountable for your own actions. You didn't blame nobody else at that point because you realized, you know, you fucked up somewhere. And,
Yeah.
you know, after doing lots of healing work with my significant other, she has single-handedly, bro, and I put this on everything. Like she has single-handedly helped me overcome all of my blockages because I tried to do it by myself, but it didn't work. And so I needed some help. And so
Right.
she
Sometimes that's the
was,
best offer is like just, you can't, and then it goes back to, not being afraid to ask.
yeah, and it's like that whole principle in the Bible and the universal law is that you ask not because you have not because you ask not. And if you don't ask, then you can't get mad if you don't get the help that you need. And
Yeah.
like, you know, I literally like remember one day writing in my journal where, you know, a couple years back when I first heard of the law of attraction of describing the qualities that I want in a woman.
Oh, it's only 1 of 12. God, people love that law, man.
Hey man,
Go ahead.
I was trying to figure
I'm
out.
just, I'm, I'm just talking. I'm listening to you, but just people love the law of attraction. That's like number 8 on the list. It's not even at the top. But go ahead. I'm
I
listening to you.
mean, I got the other laws down. I mean, I
Yeah.
didn't just study the law of attraction, but the law of attraction was a start. And so I
Yeah.
read this book and I was just writing down all the qualities of her. And I remember looking back at that journal of the qualities that I want in a woman, and she ticks off everything and then some. And so I was like, damn, like this shit is real. Like
Maybe I should give that a
manifestation.
try.
Yeah, it may take you a while, Michael, but eventually it unfolds. Like,
Yeah.
you know, with you, you know, having all of these amazing experiences of being out in LA and being at red carpet events and shooting photos and, you know, getting involved on these like huge movie sets, like you were so focused on your dream and you wanted it that much to where, you know, you was willing to give it your all. Hell, you was even willing to go into some debt just to get some equipment for your
Yeah.
first client. Like that.
Yeah. Well, dude, I mean, I put it all at risk. I packed up literally everything I had, all my clothes, like everything into a van and left Elkton, Maryland at like 2 o'clock in the afternoon or something and was walking down Hollywood Boulevard on a Tuesday night at 10:30. So I just was serious about making my dream happen and went after it, and I still am today. I mean, minor setbacks, but I'm actually in the process trying to change my vocabulary instead of it's a setback, it's more of a setup because I'm not no basketball expert, but typically when you go to set yourself up for a shot, or even if you're trying to throw anything, you usually have to step back. Same thing with a quarterback. Like he's got to drop back into the pocket so that he can go forward. Like you have to, sometimes taking a step back is going to be your greatest leap forward. Like I took every bit of probably 18 months, maybe almost 2 years of just not doing anything with my photography. Um, Not posting on Instagram. I mean, I was going on Instagram, was actively going through other people's, stylists and people that I support and makeup artists and stuff, liking their posts, but I was posting no content. And it had a lot to do with just finding me, really
Mm,
doing that and going, what do I really want? And it goes, what you're saying with the law of attraction, like what, because I've done this before. It's like, all right, I can do it again. Um, but what do I want this time? What is my end goal? And my end goal
yeah,
obviously is to make films. I want to be like, I love Zemeckis, Spielberg, Cameron, all Alejandro. I mean, dude, so many like just inspirational. Those guys, like their lighting and their films and stuff shapes my photography. So it's like that's how I want to. I love camera movement. Why is the camera moving? Or what story can I tell just through simply moving the camera? Or what message or emotion can I make my audience feel just through camera movement?
yeah, exactly, man. And at first, tell you a little bit about me is that, at first when I got into here, when I got into the show business, I just wanted to act, dude. I didn't want to do no photography. I didn't want to do no filmmaking. I didn't want to direct. I didn't want to screenwrite. And I for sure did not want to teach no master class on Udemy and Teachable. I wasn't worried about none of that. I was just like, I just want to be a star in the movie business,
Right.
and get my acting chops on because I noticed that, I have a lot of tendencies that actors have. So I said, okay, I'm going to go ahead and follow this path. And then lo and behold, I fell in love with filmmaking as soon as I got my hands on the camera in broadcast journalism class and I did a mock interview. I've told this story a bunch of times for guys that have tuned into my previous episodes that concerned that. You know, what's up,
People who
David
are,
Kyles Williams? Welcome, 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 brother.
yeah, I was just, people were saying hi, so I didn't want to interrupt you. This is weird.
Yeah, and I knew at that moment, as soon as I filmed that first interview, and keep in mind, man, I was asking some deep personal questions. I didn't know how to interview at the time. I had no idea what camera settings were. I didn't know how to light. I didn't know how to edit. I didn't know how to do nothing when it came to video. Only thing I knew was, okay, this is fascinating. And so I implemented what he talked about, which is as I'm setting up my equipment, I just ask her pre-questions and I just have a conversation with her as I'm setting up just so the interview can be smoothly. And I asked her like, hey, what was your home life growing up? What was your mom like? What is this? What is that? Just I'm just a high school kid in the 11th grade just asking her these these deep, versatile, intricate questions on camera, knowing that we're not going to air that stuff on SHTV.
Right.
And I knew at that moment, okay, I like this video stuff, so I'm going to pursue it. And ever since then, I didn't stop. I didn't let up on my hustle when it came to video. And then that led me into doing um, podcasting. That led me into doing YouTube. That led me into doing Facebook Lives. Well, in the order, it was video, then Facebook Lives, then YouTube, then podcasting. And so, you know, and then it also led to me creating my online courses, which I recently dropped an online course in photography. And the reason why you see the pin linked with the link tree, that houses all my links to where my merch store is, my YouTube channels, podcast. And also you can go ahead and donate to my significant other's surgery fund, which I'm still running, and that is a part of Linktree. And the reason why I put the Linktree up there is so I won't have to be replacing the damn link in the bio and also posting all of those links in the comment section. So I said, you know what? I'm putting all of them on Linktree. You can just go click that link, Go
There
click
you go.
and go on all the links on there. Go donate as much as you can. Go ahead and support me on the YouTube. Get you some merch while you at it. Enroll in my online courses because I'm teaching video and photography on Teachable and on Udemy. So yeah, man, it's
I think
definitely,
I need to. I think I need to get on Teachable.
yes, man. You need, dude, how long have you been in the business, by the way? Because in case I didn't
Let's
read it
see.
on your bio,
I'm 35.
you're 35 years old. So,
Damn, literally closing in on like 3 decades almost. So
and
like every bit of it.
you do not have an online course yet.
See what? This is only recent. My mentor, really kind of. This is like my first opportunity that I've had to have a mentor. Guy does significantly well. I've been blessed to have him in my corner, and another guy, um, who I just met vicariously just through mutual. You know how Facebook freaking works. People you might know.
Yep,
It's like,
mutual
yeah, dude,
friends.
yeah, right. It's like, okay, never met this. I think we ended up kind of agreeing with each other on like a live stream at some point, and connected. This is like 2 or 3 years ago, and then he kind of like cracked the code on these like courses and like a front end offer and like your back end offer and like kind of like a mentor program. But he was like, dude, like look at all the stuff that you've done. And it wasn't really until the past month or so that I even considered myself like an authority to speak on those things. And now it's like, wow, I got my first paid gig off Twitter. It was $5 grand. I offered. I was like, shot a 30-second, pitched it to him, went straight up to the CEO, and then about 2 days later, got a phone call saying how much would it cost to shoot a commercial. I didn't totally underpriced myself. Holy shit! I ended up paying my DP like 1,200 just because we had to shoot it on a red because they were gonna use this for like corporate. I couldn't shoot it on DSLR. I couldn't even 1080 not be clear because they were gonna blow this thing up. Um, Dude, I think I walked away after
Bro,
13 other people.
you said 5 grand is underpaid.
Oh, way, dude, way underpaid for what I did. It was like 4 different locations, a cast and crew of roughly like 13 people. I had a makeup artist. I had 3 other models,
Ah,
2 friends of
yeah.
mine. So like it was just I've never underbid myself like ever. And I walked with like $150. Like after the hotel was paid, I paid, all my friends' gas. Like I didn't, I was like, I got all this stuff covered
Damn.
because that's only the right thing to do. Like, it's not proper to be like, hey, come in my commercial that I'm making money on while don't get anything from it. Um, but yeah,
That's understandable, man. Like,
totally underbid myself. Never do that again.
yeah, if you got to feed that many people, you need to go at least in the 10,000s or higher because, like,
Well, I didn't,
that's a
it
lot of
didn't,
mouths to feed. Hey,
it
that's
came.
understandable. You
The
didn't even
opportunity
know.
was there and I had to take it. Yeah, I had to take it. Cool. I ended up getting some great feedback from TJ Lavin, who's an old MTV personality, BMX rider. The dude's like historic in the BMX world. And I had the opportunity for him to like comment on my YouTube channel and for him and I to trade stuff on Twitter. And, it was a really rad experience. And I think that's going to be a part of, um, my class. Like this little shirt I have on, it's an old tech company I started back in like 2015 or so. And before we even had product, I was already set to launch in Tokyo, Japan with Rocket Inc. And then I was also set with an independent key group to launch in Sweden. So like I had 3 countries that we were ready to put before there was any product. So I think that is
Mm,
my gift to the world is being able to connect. I'll give you a prime example. The guy that I'm working with now, all the Black Diamond CVE stuff, I'm going to be helping him get that in Australia. And I got a key media influencer big time media influencer that's waiting on it. So
Wow. So you're
let's
just
do
like,
things global. Like people always look at, I got to go to LA. What about London? What about
no, you
Tokyo? What about
don't.
France? Like, dude,
What
there's
about where
so
you
many.
are? I mean, you can build it where you are. I mean, look,
Look at the internet, dude.
yeah, you can live in Montana or Wyoming and still make a name for yourself. And the reason why I
Yeah,
bring those
yeah.
states up is because people tend to ignore those states like they don't even exist. I'm like, just because you live in Wyoming or Montana doesn't mean you can't make a name for yourself. Hell, you may have to be the first one to put your city on a map within
On
those
the map.
states.
Yep.
You know,
Yep.
got to
I
take
love
that
it.
risk.
Yeah, you gotta be just willing to try. I mean, like one of my well, I have many favorite bands, but it's gonna be like super white of me to talk about a heavy metal band real quick.
Hey, it don't
Mudvayne, those
matter,
guys
don't
are
matter.
they were from Imperial Illinois, like a no flat flyer country. Like look at some of the actresses and actors, take the time to invest in to be like, okay, well, where did this person grow up? Oh, wow. They came from like their parents were immigrants and they were totally broke and they did it. It's like, okay, so what's your excuse and what's stopping you?
Yeah, exactly.
You can no longer use location as an excuse. I mean, you can go to the library. Well, thanks COVID. I don't know if they're still open. But you can go,
Uh-huh.
you could go to a library and use the internet. There's so many ways to work around it. Even right now in my own little trials and hurdles I have to get through. Um, just making a way, finding a way to do it. Because if you are passionate about something, if you love something, if you want something, nothing could literally stop you. And especially if it's
Yes.
in God's plan. Like if once you start operating with where you're supposed to be in the universe, everybody's like, "Oh, it's just a lucky person." It's like, no, man. Like
Hell no.
they had to figure out what their talent was. They had to hone their talent, and then continue to acquire skills along the way to use that talent and make it useful and give it value. Like the person whose talent, it's like what did they go through? Like somebody who's out there making, I don't know, $1 billion a year, what did they go through to get to that level? Everybody's like your first 100,000 is like the hardest, and then it's like your first million, and then your first 10. So it's like it's just every new level in your life is going to require new disciplines and new thought patterns, and
Mm-hmm.
looking at life a new way. And you you can't ask somebody who's made 60 grand how to make 1 million because they can't tell you, because they don't
Yeah.
know how, because they haven't done
Or
it. Now, over the course of their lifetime, $1 million may have flown through their fingers, but is there $1 million sitting in their bank account? Like, how can I get there? Like, I'll never forget conversation I had with Pep Williams. And who's Pep Williams? One of the original dog. Just kind of my life when I was working and living in LA. I met the guys who worked on all the Iron Man films. Like I used to work at a gym, and it was like a low key. It was Marina Fitness, and one of my favorite places to work. Um, I met Pep Williams there, and then he had the opportunity. I had the opportunity to come over to his house because I just got cool with him. He trusted me. I obviously wasn't some weirdo, and I actually didn't even know who he was at the time. So I go into his house, he sits down, we're in his office, and I was like, hold on, before you say anything, I want to know how to do that. And I pointed to a stack of $100 bills just in cash with a band around it, just sitting on his computer desk. I was like, how do I get right there to where I got 10 grand just sitting around? And he was like, well, what are you doing? I was like, photography. He was like, obviously, you're not putting enough value behind it. And I was like,
mm.
damn.
Ah. Woo. Damn,
All right. So
he
what were you
just
saying,
said
Mr. Williams?
he just went bop. It's like you ain't
Yeah,
no,
man,
you ain't
talk
doing
about
enough
like
value.
really, yeah, he was like, you're not adding enough value to your work. And I was like, wow. And
Yeah,
that
and
just,
like, have you heard of this YouTube channel called Flash Film Academy?
I want to say, I think I've seen an ad here or there.
You should go check it out because he taught the exact same thing. And Ty said the exact same thing. He says, not everybody's broke out here. If you consistently find that people are not paying for your services, it's not because you're not skillful at what you do. It's just because you didn't add enough value.
Right. Yeah, and
So that,
I mean, that's another reason why, like, a lot of that stuff, just everything Paul taught me, everything Peter taught me, everything through time and conversation and friendship with Pep, that he taught me was like, at the beginning of the conversation, I took that major step back. It was like, wait a minute, I've been used and abused in this industry. I was like, I did a 30-second pitch. I got free product. I got paid $5,000. Like, I can do this. And now I know what my worth is as a cinematographer, as a storyteller, as somebody who makes commercials. That's how Michael Bay started. I mean, look at the Transformers franchise. Like, he's got his start shooting cars and Victoria's Secret models. Now the guy gets paid $30-40 million to make a movie, not to mention what he makes on the back end. Like, it's not about the money, but it's, creating the value of it. Do you believe that your services or your product or whatever it is you have to offer? Hey, bub, say hi.
hey, what's up, little man?
That single dad life stuff. It's my little gamer. If you're not adding the value to it, no one else is going to see it.
Yeah, exactly.
If you know it.
And that was that was something that I had to learn early on was that, I had to take a step back. I'm like, bro, why is no one paying me for my services? And the thing was that I wasn't adding enough value. I was still
Right.
coming at it like I was a college student still or a teenager in high school as an evaluation, like, well, I helped you like this. I helped you like that. And that just, I didn't know for a while, but my significant other told me this yesterday. It's like you gotta quit asking people if they like it or not. You already know that your work speaks for itself. You've had professionals before tell you that your work is fucking good.
Yeah.
So the fact of the matter is that it was more of a confidence issue and an energy issue that I was giving off. Was I wasn't giving off the right vibes, even though my work is good. My energy was just off. And I remember last night I reread the chapter on the 48 Laws of Power called "Act Like a King to Get Treated Like One." And
Mm-hmm.
so, you know, if you put out that energy that you don't feel like you're enough and that you're like, man, no one values me and da 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 da,
Victim mindset, man. The victim mindset.
saying, fuck the world, fuck the industry and this and that. It's like, no, 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 no. The industry, yes, it has a lot of rough spots and there's a lot of bullshit that goes on in show business. As I've said in your bio, a lot of people are all bark and no bite. And that's the same way. I hate to say this, but it's a lot of filmmakers like that in Houston as well, where they just talk a big game, but it's like a lot of them have these big egos because they have all these views or they may have won an award at a local film festival here in Houston. I'm like, you realize, you're local in Houston, but if you go to any other city, like, can you go to any other city and people yell out your name?
Yeah.
And then I had to look at myself and I was like, damn, no one really knows me
Dude,
with
I'll
the
never
video
forget
in my
it.
small
Wow.
pocket in the
That's
neighborhood I
crazy. I
live
forgot
in.
about that. It was like third week, second week, and I was at a friend of mine's party. Well, I was actually like my acting coach. It was his roommate. His roommate's friend had just gotten back from shooting an indie film in like Mexico or something. So they threw like a big welcome home party at this club in LA. I don't even really remember where we were. Um, but a totally random person came up to me and was like, "Dude, aren't you that photographer from MySpace?" I was like, "Yeah." I was like, "Yes, actually, I am." Like, that was the only other time that I was actually recognized for me. And then any other time walking down, like Hollywood Boulevard, people would think I was like Leonardo DiCaprio or like Johnny Depp just because of just my hair, like how my hair is, and um, I'd be like, "No, I'm not him. They're taller than I am. I'm short. No, I'm not gonna take a picture with you." Because Because it's like to me, that's like I wouldn't want somebody, pretend unless you're like going down Hollywood like a lot of lookalikes and stuff, dude, just to get tips and mess with tourists and stuff. But yeah, that was really cool. It's funny that you said that. That was the only time that I was actually like recognized for me in my work. Um, yeah, one time.
Hey, like at least you're known for your work nonetheless. Like, for my situation, it was mainly on the internet and also in school. And
Right.
but yeah, I did have this one encounter though when I was in Beaumont, Texas, back in my freshman year of college. Like I went on a date with this girl. We was at the mall and somebody that followed me on Instagram says, "Hey, what's up, spiritual intellect?" I'm like, "Who are you?"
A word?
Like, yeah, who are you? And he was like, I follow you on Instagram, man. I've been following your work for a while. Keep up the great work. I was like,
That's what's
well,
up, man.
damn,
That's how
and that's the power of the internet.
social distance fist bump. Was it?
Yeah.
Dude, like that's what's up, man. And that's what's really great about some of the guys, like my friend Devin, who's been following my work for God, probably better more of a decade. Mariah, like there's a handful of people that, they were like coming out of high school or still in high school when they, followed my work on MySpace and then, like I was saying earlier, followed me over to Facebook, um, and so on. And it just is wild, like when you spend time with people who followed your work and then you kind of just like share that bond, that experience, and you're watching each other grow. Like seeing my boy Devin go from just a young kid to, like being married, and it's like, wow, like look at the journey. And like he's big into sports. And I think his end dream is like, if I remember correctly, I could be saying this wrong. Um, it has a lot to do with sports and sports casting. I'm not sure if he wants to be like an agent, but more of maybe like a ball manager, like a team manager. But that's success to him, And to me, I think that's pretty rad. Like, dude, hook me up with some tickets or something. I'd rather go watch it. I'd rather go watch it at the stadium than sit and watch it at home. So
Yeah, and it's like, it is rewarding when you do have some people who recognize you for your work and they recognize your pure intent with your energy, like, and that's most of all, like with anything, is that, you have to come at people with the right energy, because if you're doing all these antics on social media and doing stupid stuff, then people are just gonna look at you in public and say, "Hey, do this for me, do that for me," and then you just get stuck in that cycle
yeah,
of just doing dumb shit just to get views and clicks. And I remember I watched this video by Blackie Speaks where he was analyzing this rapper named Smoke Perp, who had who has 4 million followers on Instagram, but his recent album only sold 5,000 copies, and he said that, you know, you may think that don't confuse followers with fans. And that's something
yeah.
I had to learn early on, is that just because I have like 3,000 people following me on this page doesn't mean they're a fan of mine and that they like me for me. They may just be following me because they're bored. I mean, I don't know. I mean, that's just the world of social media. And so we can't get so wrapped up in in somebody else's numbers
Oh,
or our own
um,
numbers.
now that you say that, as far as somebody else's social media stuff, yeah, and yeah, I mean, that's another conversation for another time as far as being authentic to yourself. Um, but I had a guy who I know was following my Instagram tag me in a picture and was like, "Yo, isn't that your picture?" And I was like, "Thanks for noticing. Yes, it is my photograph." And then of course I went to the guy and was like, "Hey, dude, like I don't mind you taking my work, but at least give me some credit for it. At least give me a shout out or something. Don't just pawn it off as your own." But that was like the purest form of just someone like my own. Like that's why I don't tag my images anymore, because a lot of my work has a very specific look to it. Like you can just kind of tell it's mine. Not my architectural stuff, but like my product photography definitely has a very significant look to it. I was lucky enough to get into the vape industry like right as it was starting to peak, and did a few things here and there, magazines, posters, and all that fun stuff. Totally undervalued myself, didn't see it. I was just excited to be doing photography again when I started doing all that. But yeah, dude, it has a lot to do with your energy, and then don't be afraid to be cutting people out of your life left and right. Like I'm at the point in my
Yep.
career, I am completely done with people playing games. Like we're either setting a date, we're talking about it. Like I don't need to be, dealing with 15 different ways to try and get a hold of you. Like we're either going to work together or we're not. We're
Yeah,
either working on
exactly.
this. Like I have 2 weekends already booked. Like an artist friend of mine is in town, and I'm like, yo, dude, like, are you local? Like, help me out. I'll hook you up with like some product. Just do me a favor, do me a solid, and then plus I'll take care of you. And he's like, well, dude, I want some free CBD stuff. So of course, he's down to try it. But I mean, he doesn't have to. But that's just the relationship that I have with him. It's all about relationships in this business, and don't be afraid to cut them off or start new ones.
Yeah, exactly. Because there's a lot of people who just want to use you for fame and clout and money and all this other stuff. And it just goes back to show you that show business does attract a lot of personalities that just want to be famous just for famous sake and just are chasing the money. And, just speaking on show business as a whole, that includes sports, sports entertainment, you got TV shows, web series, all that stuff. You can't just be in it just so you can get money or get fame. You have to
Right.
be in
Well,
it
you have to
because
do
you
it
enjoy
because
it.
you love it. Yeah,
And
it
it's like
has
with both
to.
of us, we enjoy what we do, even if there's no such thing as money, and even if there was like no, set
Well, that's
industry.
got to be. I mean, your driving force for doing something has got to be because you love it. Money is the result of delivering a service that has value. So unless you're providing somebody something that has value, there's no reason for you to not get paid for it. There's definitely a point in your career where you obviously have to start somewhere. Like if you don't know anything, you can't charge somebody, a ridiculous price or any kind of absurd amount. I mean, if you're nice enough to be able to say, hey, it's like $50 just for my time, I'm going to give you this amazing product. Like I think there's places to start. But it all starts with, kind of stems back in the beginning of a conversation, not being afraid to ask. It's like when people are I have a feeling probably soon enough, more CBD companies are going to be asking me for stuff. It's like, sure, here's the deal. It's X amount of pictures, amount of dollars. You don't like it, take it, leave, walk. You're not hurting my feelings. It's like
Yeah,
I can
exactly.
go out and get and hustle projects if I need the that bad. Um, but yeah, it's you can't be afraid to ask, and definitely putting value. It's just if you're doing it, if you're money motivated, like you said, it's going to continue to elude you. So you're going to be on that quote unquote paper chase. It's going to come in your pocket, it's going to go out your pocket, it's going to come in your pocket, it's going to go out your pocket. It's going to stay there. There's drink from your own cistern. It's a pretty famous scripture, meaning, you're allowed to have a fat bank account. You're allowed to have multiple streams of income. You're allowed to. It's God's design. Like, I would that you would prosper even as your soul prospers. So if you're not inside, you're not prospering, or if you don't see yourself, as a prosperous individual, for starters, you're never going to have more than what you currently have. That's just spiritual law, universal law, whatever you want to call it. But that's just a fact. If you can't see yourself achieving it or having it or being able to even attain it, you can't.
Yes, exactly. And that's, where it starts off first. It's just like, the 40 laws of power when I brought up that law about act like you can't be treated like one. You have to feel your own greatness on the inside, even if everybody else don't see it. Because
Right.
at first when you are starting out, people are not going to care about what you do. That's just a simple
Right,
fact. And the
right.
matter, like, and you can attest to this when you were first in LA, and like, I can imagine that in the industry, you had to work twice as much just to get the same amount of work you could by just making an Instagram post. Because back then, social media didn't really exist in the 2000s until like
Not
08
quite.
or
Yeah.
09. So you still had to hand out business cards. You still had
It
to
was a
go
yeah, it was a
meet people in
different hustle.
person.
It was a different hustle. Like, but I think that helps me. I think that's an advantage because I had to, go to parties and go to events and network with people and talk to people and ask them what they did and who they were. Just you have to, adapt or die, really. Is okay. How do I fit into? I'm still kind of trying to get used to this whole social media thing. I'd rather deal with people, but I'm learning it. I'm getting better at it. I got a sponsorship. I did a commercial. I think I'm doing something right.
Mm.
So now I just need to keep doing it a lot better. Hey,
Hey,
appreciate that. Thank you, sir.
yeah, I've done an episode with David Kyles on the show. I did one 2 years ago, and I did another one recently, a few weeks ago. So he definitely has a dope podcast. It's called the Be Your Own Hero Show. And of
Okay.
course, you're on my podcast, the A Productions podcast, having this dope conversation with me. And just don't be
Trying
surprised if
my
David,
ADD sometimes.
don't don't be surprised if David hits you up the next minute asking, can you be on his show? Because he
Yeah,
has
man,
a
that would
lot of
be.
great interviews and great conversations. Well, he's not much of an interviewer like I am, but he does conversations, and I got inspired to do it again because of David. Because like I remember I've done fireside chats on Facebook Lives, and I just stopped doing them after a while and just went and did straight up interviews. But with you, man, it's like, I felt that there was something, special in the air when you came up on my Facebook and you just made those comments, just adding not just your
I'm
two
gonna have to
cents,
go
but you
back
added
and read
hundred
them.
dollar bills to the
I'm gonna have to go
conversation.
back and read some. Well, I mean, a lot of it has to do with 100% accountability, and not blaming other people and not being a victim and accepting um, other humans. Like
Yes,
you can't. It's impossible to learn anything if you're not willing to listen. Everyone's
yeah,
got a story. Everyone has a reason. Some people have been hurt, but you can't let that hurt rule your life. Like that's a major character flaw if you allow your pain to run your life for you. So you're basically living your life forward in pain instead of living it in joy and happiness and peace and love and passion and compassion and just like what I mean to me it's like that's the only situation where I would like you could ever really be prejudiced. It's like you just want to shake somebody and be like, what the fuck is wrong with you? Like you're not a victim. Like the world is not out to get you. The world is there to serve you. Like it's just David Meltzer is like one of the big, vicarious mentors. Um,
yeah, it does. I do agree. It does pay to be picky, man, because
yeah,
if you invite the wrong person on your show, the energy is going to be all off. And I've done this early on when I used to do Facebook Lives, and when people would try to get an invite, I would just invite any and everybody on. And I found out real quick that our energies didn't mesh, and it just doesn't make sense. So,
right.
I'm
Well,
with
you
David
got to
on that
guard your
one about
heart,
being
man, and
picky on
that's
who you invite.
yeah. You got to guard your heart. You got to be protective of your dream. I think the scripture is guard your heart, for out of it are the rivers of life. And it's like, well, if you let people rule that for you, that's a big no. I don't know. I mean, it's really hard to kind of put in words. I'll find them eventually.
Hey man, we're about to approach that 1 hour mark. It's like 55 minutes. We've been
Alrighty.
going live. So, are there any last words you want to say before we wrap this up?
Oh, my tombstone or just here?
Here,
Uh,
of course, man. Don't
um,
don't drop out on us now.
no, I
Please
don't
don't.
plan on going anytime soon. We're actually eternal beings. I think people, that's another conversation too, is people need to get an immortal concept, immortal perspective. Do not measure your life. Let's see, how can I leave you with some last words? Um, you are more significant than you perceive. Because just like a thumbprint, everyone has is different, unique. No two thumbprints are the same. My question would be, what thumbprint are you leaving on someone's heart?
Mm.
So every interaction we have, whether it be long or brief, and I think this comes from working in customer service, would be, leave a positive thumbprint on someone's life. Leave that little thumbprint on their heart. If they're passing by, now you can't see people smile because everyone's freaking out about what's going on in the world. Um, but yeah, mine would be leave a positive thumbprint on someone's life, whether it be in passing or walking or whatever. You don't know how you could keep someone from suicide, or you don't know how much a smile could mean to somebody. Like, it could have just dealt with a huge, tremendous loss. Everybody is facing a battle that you know nothing about, and every one of us somewhere in one way or another is dealing with some kind of personal issue that they're trying to get better at, or maybe they're struggling as a husband, or they're struggling as a spouse, or we don't know unless you sit down and you have a conversation, then you listen. But I think everyone should be willing to listen, but not everyone is.
All right, and where else can people find you besides in your Instagram?
YouTube, more content is coming. You can see some of the old stuff. Would be Michael Wheaton. It's my name, kind of without the vowels. It's MICHLWHTN. You can see some of my earlier works, what put me on the map, um, and what got people talking about me. And then I just fell off. Like I said, there was a time where I just was I had my divorce suit. I had to find me. I had to figure me out. Um, because that's if I cannot successfully lead my children if I'm a mess. So the best
Yeah,
thing for my children is to get my shit straight, get myself straight, get this straight, and then course correct as I go along. You know.
yeah, and also like if you guys, for you guys that, want to go get some merch and want to go support my podcast and support the YouTube channels and support me with my online courses and help my baby pay off her medical bills. All of that is on
Oh,
that
I
link
saw. I'm
I
gonna
have
share that on
pinned.
Facebook. I saw that stuff. Thank you.
Yeah, so it's all on Linktree. And also, if you're watching this on YouTube, make sure to click that subscribe button, hit that bell right next to it so you get notified on every single Wednesday we upload new episodes on this podcast. And also, if you're listening to this on Anchor or any other podcasting platform, make sure to rate this and review this. And also, if you're listening to this on Anchor specifically, you can go ahead and favor the podcast. And also, just make sure to go ahead and be safe because I see on the thing it says 50 seconds remaining. So that's why I'm speeding through here.
You're
But
good.
yeah, it was nice to have you on, and I do appreciate you for taking the time to do this.
Oh man, thank you for having me. This is like my first real kind of live interaction like this. It's been a while, but I'm looking forward to it. Definitely some more. I will get you on my creator little video cast thing that I'm going to be doing. So I want to get you on there as well. And yeah, man, thanks for having me, Evan.